We are going to get, we're told, a plan from the president for fiscal stimulus this afternoon. And one of the things he specifically says is it's going to have a payroll tax cut or deferral. Does that make sense?
I think if it's designed right, it probably does make sense, particularly if a significant part of the stimulus is going to employers who choose to retain their workers, who choose to offer sick pay for their workers who get caught up in medical problems associated with coronavirus. But I don't think anybody can think that tax cuts of the kind we've gone to the well with in past recessions are sufficient at a moment like this. There are complex financial issues with maintaining the flow of credit on which the Treasury and the Fed need to partner. There's urgent need for developing adequate infrastructure and facilities for testing and treating and, where necessary, quarantining people with respect to these problems. We are not an island in the world, and unless we cooperate with other countries, what no one country does is going to be sufficient to contain this problem. So I'm glad to see the president recognizing the role of fiscal policy. But as I've been saying now, I think we need a plan that is coherent, that is coordinated, and that is comprehensive. And we don't need a set of ad hoc measures with people going around congratulating themselves for having come up with a measure or a proposal. We need to be thinking about what we want to be doing today to put ourselves to be in the right place a month or 3 months from now. So yes, the impulse to fiscal policy is probably appropriate. I don't think the levels that people are talking about in the low hundreds of billions of dollars are likely actually to be sufficient in the context of more than a $20 trillion economy. I think we've got to recognize that the risks are very much on the side of underdoing it.
So exactly, and that goes to the question of how big is the breadbasket here. I remember back in 2009, there were a lot of questions being raised about whether, in fact, we stepped up big enough in the fiscal stimulus. And many economists thought we did not do it big enough. Do you have any sense of the sort of magnitude that would be required sufficient to accomplish what you're talking about?
I think we'd better have an apparatus in place that will enable us to be spending at a rate of above $500 billion a year by the end of the summer. I'm not certain that all of that will be necessary, but we've got to have the capacity to be spending at more than that rate. And it wouldn't surprise me greatly if we had to escalate beyond that. I think the odds are 80% that we will have a recession, and we need to have contingency planning for a likely recession. And we need to do that planning with the awareness that a serious inflation problem really looks very unlikely from here.